Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out a game whose name I can't very well pronounce, but I'm going to give it my best shot. This is Fooths. So there you go, hopefully that's correct, and feel free to correct me I suppose. So this is a first-person exploration game, very heavy on the flashing lights and such, so when we get further into things, well, if you have any problems with epilepsy or photosensitive, you may not want to watch this one all the way through. It's probably... I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8. It's not quite psychedelic strobing lights, but it is repetitive flashing. Anyway, we're going to be exploring a big, vast, desolate desert full of abandoned robot or giant creatures who I'm not sure what exactly their role is in all of this, but we'll be trying to reactivate them at the cost of our own lives. And as we degrade, things get harder and harder to look at. So basically, this is the world that we are surrounded by, and it's surprisingly mysterious and enigmatic, and it's very pretty, actually. Although in a surprisingly minimalistic, surreal way. I mean, it's not well textured in a way, like it's very flat, but there's a lot of neat little details that we'll be exploring. So, the basic goal here is there's these little, whatever these are, I don't really know what to call them, they're little boxes, artifacts, sigils, I don't know, something like that. And basically what we want to do is we'll be picking up each one of these and depositing them over at this little oasis that you'll find, where is it? Well, it's off in the distance. We can't quite see it very well from here. There's little pedestals for all of them, and there's, what are there, 6 or 7 in total, and each one corresponds with a color. So this is the white one, there's a red one, a blue one, a yellow one, a green one, so on and so forth. And each one has its own little area devoted to it. None of them are particularly hard or difficult to get to, and it is, it's mostly just a journey. It's not so much about the destination. I know I say this pretty frequently, but there's not a whole lot of payoff, unfortunately. I did play this one all the way through because I found it very curious and interesting to look at. And I wanted to see where we were going with the story of this game, and it definitely captured my attention and curiosity. Unfortunately, I'm not sure the payoff was there, like I said. But we'll play far enough that you hopefully get an idea what this is about, and then I think maybe I'll leave the rest to you, because, well, you'll see it's not the most exciting thing to look at after a while, because the flashing gets a little bit out of hand, and it's like I said, really repetitive flashing. So we just sort of fell through the ground here. This is the one place where the geometry just acts very strangely. Everywhere else it seems like it's pretty much normal, or at least what I would expect from it. But if you try to walk into this hand, there's just like a hole in it somewhere, and you just kind of fall through the ground. Well, I guess you can see a hole there, and that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, you just kind of like go through everything. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's also kind of dark right now, so we need to probably activate the first artifact, and then that'll at least make things a little bit brighter, and we can take it from that point. There's also some very cool music playing in the background, which unfortunately I had to turn down so quietly that you might not be able to hear it very well. It does set the stage very nicely for some curiosity and mystery, and that is definitely what this game does have, is atmosphere and mystery. And I really wish there was more to find out about these giants, because they're actually a little bit unsettling and awesome at the same time. That one off in the distance with the red eyes, that's like nightmare fuel to me. For some reason, I have this phobia about things with red eyes staring at me for reasons that I'm not sure about, and that totally sets that off, and I feel like I've described this a few times. Also, there is definitely some kind of a story here, because this is like the front of a crashed plane, and there's also like some writing on the wall over in the oasis. So let's grab this first artifact and we'll take it to where we need to go. This is another one of those games where the mouse cursor kind of becomes unbound at times, and it looks like I can't pick this up right now. Oh, there we go. I had to find the right spot to click, and now we've got that sorted out. So we're gonna go over to the oasis, like I mentioned. We're going to follow these glowing books, or whatever these are, just little book statues. This is what they remind me of, little podiums, each of them with a beautifully brilliant, glowing, enchanting light on it. Also, I kind of want to go hang out in that crazy house full of steam. Not really sure why it's full of steam, but I'm going to say it's probably magic. And here we go, we're getting closer to the oasis. You can see there's some trees, there's some water or ice, I'm not really sure, maybe it's freezing cold here. And we just need to match up the color, and this is the pedestal for the white one, so we're probably going to place that in just a second. I just wanted to take a quick look before the flashing starts, so you could see that this is the text I was talking about on the wall. It seems to be sort of like runes. Not really sure what these say or what they mean. Might also just not be runes, and maybe I just can't make out the typeface. Who knows? It's very difficult to say. One of the strange things that I found when I was playing this was, at first I didn't actually realize that I was supposed to pick up those items to bring them here, and I just sort of pieced that together over time, because I kept visiting them, and they were sort of lighting up, and I thought I was activating them, and I figured maybe when I came back here, then like a hologram of them would show up above the pedestal indicating that I'd been to that point. But for some reason, like, I just wasn't able to pick them up, and I think it was just because the mouse cursor wasn't lining up at the center of the screen, or something like that anyway. And it was just kind of funny that, despite the game not really working correctly, I was able to figure out what it wanted me to do just by virtue of those pedestals being there, and just by me knowing how games work well enough, I guess. So we've got the green doohickey up here, and it's got quite a cool glow to it. And they all have a different vibrant frequency going on, or vibrating frequency. And this one seems to be very, very low. So low, in fact, that I can barely hear it. But let's grab that, if we can get the mouse cursor. There we go. And some very interesting sights to behold from here. There's certain moments where if you stand in the right spot, things are very picturesque in an unconventional way. I mean, this is like a scene of chaos and ruin, in fact. But I kind of like the way that it looks anyway. I just wish there was more going on. Like, I want to see more about this vibrant world. I want to see these creatures being activated and, like, getting up and rising from the grave and all of that stuff. So we're going to place the green one now, and there we go. And you'll notice, of course, a little bit more of the screen becomes artifacted and fractured now. And it, like I said, just keeps going and getting worse and worse. It's kind of interesting, too, because these aren't just, like, static bits that are appearing. They're actually like a reflection of the game environment in some way, and I'm not sure where I'll be able to show you, but if I walk across like something shaded or particularly bright, you'll be able to tell that that's what's going on. That it's actually just taking a little chunk of the gameplay and putting it back on the screen for you. This one is the more interesting one for me. This is the yellow statuette that we're looking for right now, and we actually have to fly up like a Quake 3 style jump pad to get up onto the giant's head. We could also go down there, too, into the valleys of this terrain. You know, there's a lot to go and look at, but at the same time, there's not a lot of attractions in those places other than the main focal points, which are to go get the colorful artifacts. If you try to take too many side paths, it's mostly just, you know, hills on both sides, and that's kind of the extent of it. It's rather creepy, isn't it? Just being stared at by big old yellow eyes. We'll walk across onto his face here, and we'll grab that. And in case you were wondering, you can't actually just bring all of them at once, because I was going to do that for the sake of viewership, not having to watch the flashing screen. But part of the experience is, obviously, that your character's degrading as you go. So it would be kind of counterintuitive for that to be the case. Even still, though, I kind of did want to try that out, because it probably would have been a lot more enjoyable, actually, to just walk around this landscape, being able to see what you're doing. Also, when I first played this and I didn't understand that I was able to pick those items up, I was thinking, well, this game is awfully dark, and it was kind of to my benefit to place the first artifact. For whatever reason, it seems to make it to be daylight, which is a much better environment to be able to do this exploration within. But it is more unsettling and more atmospheric, though, to have it be the way that it was when it was dark. Alright, so there we go. We've placed the yellow artifact, and then that leaves us with, what, the red one and the blue one? Is that it? Yeah, I guess it goes by kind of quickly. So the blue one's actually fairly close. I'm going to leave that one for the end, just because, well, it's closer, and I want to not have to walk as far. Also, the red one is probably the creepiest. So you can see it seems to be surrounded by a little forest of thorns, and I'm just sort of committing my eyesight to just the top, like, 1/5 of the screen, the top left 1/5. That way I don't have to quite look at the strobing as much. And, you know, I'm no stranger to strobing. I've certainly seen a bunch of it. But in this case, it's like right where my eyes want to go, and it's not like it's really doing much. It's just sort of repeating itself. I mean, I've said that a bunch of times. Now I'm repeating myself. So here we go. We're going to walk right into the loins of this red robot, or giant, as the case were, and go ahead and grab this gem, or artifact, or whatever we're calling it, and we're going to bring it back. Grab it, please. Grab it, please. Mouse cursor, where have you gone? I believe in you. Oh my goodness. This is like one of the most frustrating things with these Unity games, when the mouse cursor does not stay bound inside of the window. and also makes gameplay more difficult. That's just very frustrating. I don't think I ever noticed that there was a sun there before. Also, it kind of looks like an egg. Like, you can kind of see the yolk when the flashing part goes over it a little bit. It's just kind of morphing a little bit inside of itself, which is interesting. Yeah, okay, it's actually just doing that itself. It's not me. I wonder if it's actually progressing the more of these artifacts I collect. Anyway, we've just got one more left to grab after this, and I'll spoil it for you guys in case you're wondering. When I get the final artifact and put it back, game just ends. Like, it just quits to desktop, which is the most underwhelming thing of all time. This gameplay in and of itself is not the most compelling thing. I was thinking that the payoff was going to be what happens after I collect all of these artifacts, and the fact that I had to kind of, like, endure all of the strobing, well, it just made me want there to be more going on, and unfortunately that didn't seem to be the case. Look at this. This is quite a strange, corrupted viewpoint we've got right now. And now we've even got some auditory hallucinations happening. So hopefully, if you're playing this, you know where you're going before you get involved, because otherwise you're going to have a really hard time trying to find where you're going with all this strobing. Look at that. It's almost like a Mar character over there on the left. I like that quite a bit. And then we've got the blue artifact, which is going to be right here. Okay, well, sounds like a speeding car when you get particularly close to it. There we go. And now we've got that, and we bring it back, and that would be the end of Fooths. Really difficult to pronounce. It's F-O with an umlaut, or O and then O with an umlaut, then T-H-S-H. So, I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to say that. So hopefully that should give you a pretty good idea what to expect from this game in particular. If you are interested by it and you want to go ahead and grab it, there's a name your own price option, since this is from each.io. So there is, you know, different ways to grab it, and there is an OS X and Linux version, as well as the Windows build. And I'll refrain from placing this artifact just since it's going to end the game. But you can take a refresher here if you wanted to listen to any of these sounds again. What I was really expecting to happen is you place the last artifact and then something happens inside of the building with the writing inside of it, and maybe something's revealed, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like on it, because it helps me out a whole bunch. And then feel free to come on back tomorrow. New episodes of Indie Impressions go up every single day without fail, so I look forward to bringing you another one then, and I hope you have a fantastic night. Talk to you all later.